Good morning. This is Margaret Fitty from the University of Sewing at the Tailored Fit, and it's Saturday morning in time for Facebook Live. So today we are here, and if you aren't aware of it, today is National Dress Day. And I thought it would be a perfect time to talk about some of the fabrics we have for clothing and some wonderful ideas for you for another project for hopefully this spring and summer. So we're going to come over here, and the first thing I'm going to do is show you this wonderful idea wall we have of various kinds of clothing that you could make using some of these beautiful silks. And we'll talk about these really briefly because I did a pretty big show on these a couple weeks ago. But we have some silk cotton blends. This one is a very dramatic print that has a lot going on, but I'm going to have us go back over here to our design wall and look at this wonderful sheer jacket that she's wearing over top of her clothes. And wouldn't this make a gorgeous piece for a cruise or for some sort of thing on that in that kind of vein? So maybe even you're just going to entertain at home and you want something dramatic to wear. We've got this beautiful polka dot here in navy. And over here, they're showing this wonderful skirt, and it looks like they could have taken our navy print and just done that. And this is the sheer, it's a little bit sheer. All these fabrics I'm showing you here are a little bit sheer, so they would maybe need to be lined or worn over something. And so I thought that these ideas were really cute. I mean, here's two butterick patterns that show the jacket being made out of a sheer chiffon. Over here, a more kimono style jacket. And again, they're wearing them over top of their clothes. And these are great little ideas for a summer outfit. If you look at the fabric I have right here, wouldn't that be a gorgeous summer dress over something like a bias slip dress? Or wouldn't this make the prettiest jacket like the ones I just showed you? So that's a really neat idea. This is another one, very dramatic print, very beautiful. Again, I love this idea of a sheer jacket out of it that could go over top of clothes. What a great idea for going out and being, you know, maybe out on one of these big lawns, listening to some music this summer. It's going to be really pretty. Here's another really classic kind of beautiful print in navy with little tiny flowers. This sized flowers could work for anybody's body. It would work well for a small person or a larger person, and it is such a classic and so beautiful. Then we have this really dramatic, very, very dramatic sheer that is a designer print, and this is Milana Grace's print, and we have this both in a beige and tan, a tan and a brown, black kind of grays, and then the other one's in pinks, pink background with the same kind of wonderful print on it. And again, think of that kimono jacket, or maybe you could make a sheer top that would go over top of a really nice tank, silk tank, or you could put it over top of a cotton tank. And wouldn't that be really comfortable and beautiful? The last fabric I wanted to show you, this one I really can see in a very dramatic summer dress. And wouldn't this be beautiful? Most people could wear this print too. It's not a very big or overwhelming print. It's kind of a nice middle-sized print. Because of the black and white, or I should say black and off-white, it would be something that could work for a lot of people color-wise too. So at the University of Sewing, we have a lot of patterns, and right over here, this is kind of one of the groups of patterns we have. We have jackets, shirts, tops, pants, all those kind of things. And I thought it might be helpful if I show you some of the fabrics we've got and what might work with them. And again, I'm going to focus a little more on tops and dresses today. We can go towards pants another time. But it's really fun to do this because a lot of times people say to me, well, how do you know what fabric to match up with what pattern. And sometimes that's really hard because the pattern doesn't give you a lot of information. Maybe you don't have access to a lot of different kinds of fabrics. And so that can be really challenging. And I know I've made a lot of mistakes over the years doing something maybe that didn't have very much drape, and it was supposed to be a drapey material, and I didn't match the right fabric with the pattern. So what I'm going to show you right now is we're going to start off, and I'm going to show you, for example, this is from Grainline Patterns, Grainline Studio, and this is a tank or a dress. Now we've made this particular pattern up, and it wasn't this exact one, but we made one very similar to it. And I want to show you how it makes up and what you can do to possibly make it a little different, maybe a little bit better. Dave, if you can film that shirt with that print and that shirt, the black and the cream, is a Italian fabric we have. It's a file, and it is a fairly stable fabric, and so it doesn't have a lot of drape, and it's not very loose. So what happens with something like that, and that is, I'm gonna bring this fabric back out. What I do a lot of times with my fabrics is I will unroll them, and even this way you can see how this hangs. This is hanging very straight and very stiff, and that's because this fabric has some weight to it. So if you're going to use this particular fabric, what you're going to want to do with it is you're going to want to make something that's pretty tailored. You are not going to want to use this on a flowy, drapey thing because it's not going to work, and you won't be happy with the results. It's a gorgeous fabric. It's got this beautiful border on it, and it comes essentially in panels, which is why we did the top out of it. And I think that was successful, but I can also see where some people might not think that they want something that stiff. And so when you go and you look at the different fabrics we've chosen for things here, you can see that, for example, this rayon has a lot of drape and it's very flowy. For this particular jacket, which is called the Little Something Jacket, it's very successful. Now on the front of their cover, they show it made up out of a cotton, and I don't think it's as successful as it is out of rayons. The rayons are more drapey and they're more attractive, and they have these beautiful folds, and I think that's a much more successful look. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use it the other way. I'm just saying that if you want this drapey look, don't pick a cotton because it's not going to drape the same way. So right beside this, we have an apron made up, and this apron, as you can see, because it's 2 layers of cotton, it has a very stiff appearance. Now in an apron, that's not really a big significant thing, and so you can always make your rayon, or you could always make an apron out of something else, but we use it as a utility piece, and we're getting it dirty and we're putting it in the wash and laundry and so forth. So probably something like an apron, you want to use cotton because it's such a good utility fabric. Over here we have, this is a McCall's pattern that we made up out of our stock knits. And as you can see, it's got drape, it's got flow, but it's also not really quite clinging where you think it might. And that's because this is a heavier knit, and so it doesn't tend to cling quite the same way as some knits do. This is a rayon knit, and it has more drape, and so it's flowy. And this particular one is made out of a pattern we carry. It's Pamela Leggett's Peekaboo Swing Tunic. Now I've made this up multiple times. I really like this pattern because I like tunics. And for those of us who enjoy a tunic style blouse, this is a knit pattern and it works really well. And it has, what I found is for most people, it doesn't need a lot of alteration to the pattern. Next to it, we have this beautiful cotton dress made up for a little girl. It's the Ava Tie top. And look at how pretty this dress is. It's got the elastic on it, and it's got a finished edge up here on the top done with a rolled hem on our serger. And this was made on our 890 serger, and so we were able to do the entire dress on there. It had the serger, it's a serger cover stitch combination, and it was able to do everything. So that was really neat and fun. And if you're nervous about trying clothes for yourself, doing it for children's actually really fun because they don't have as many fitting issues as we do. We have this beautiful top right here. It's the Asymmetrical top and tunic from Indigo Junction. And this lovely top is a wraparound, and the top is made up out of a beautiful rayon, and we carry lots and lots of rayons. So look at our rayons. They are so easy to sew. They sew up much like a cotton does, but they have a better drape. This particular top was made up from a Vogue pattern, and it's one of my favorite patterns from Vogue. And this particular top was done with some Japanese cottons that we have. And it is actually a Japanese brocade, and it is reversible. So the fabric on both sides is usable. So I made the top reversible. Now underneath of that, this is a knit Ponte skirt, and look at the drape on that. It's a very heavy knit, so it's not going to have a whole lot of the folds and drapes like you would on a lighter weight knit. But for those of us who are trying...
No, we are.
Okay. All right, so this particular top is from Grainline Studios, and Grainline Studios has some really pretty patterns that they use. And the nice thing about Grainline is that what they're doing is very simple. And so if you've never made anything before and you want to try a very simple pattern, they succeed in that. And the nice thing about their stuff is even though it's simple patterns, they seem to have a very nice flattering cut. Think about like Eileen Fisher. She does some very simple cuts, but they look very nice. And this is the kind of thing they do at Grainline. And because they're using a woven, you're not getting into all the problems that people have learning knits. And by the way, we offer knit classes, and we do a lot of things with sergers. So if you've got a serger sitting in your cabinet, in a closet, and you haven't ever used it, you might want to consider taking one of our serger classes. We have an entry-level learn how to use your serger class, and we also do a knit top class, which shows how to do those Pamela Leggett tops. And that is really fun. So you might want to consider doing that if you're thinking about branching into knits. This is a Frankie shirt. Frankie shirt is done by Sewing Workshop. I love Sewing Workshop's patterns, but I will tell you that generally you probably ought to have at least a little bit experience making some clothes before you jump into a Sewing Workshop pattern. They're a little bit more advanced. They're very beautiful, and I love her design style, but they are a little bit more advanced, and so you probably want to try a pattern or two before you jump into a Sewing Workshop pattern. So let's go and talk about some of the things that we've got here in the shop, and we can talk about the differences of them. And we're only going to be on here for another few minutes, but I want to show you this particular knit is a very drapey knit, and it is from Italy. It's very dramatic, very beautiful. Look at the drape. A wraparound dress. I just had a customer who made the Pamela Leggett, that tunic pattern that I showed you earlier. She made it up out of this, and it's absolutely beautiful. Here's another Italian knit. This one is also thin. It's going to be very good for a drapey garment. You probably do not want this as a super fitted thing unless you're very slender and beautiful, and I'm sure many of you are. So if you want to do that, it would be very gorgeous. think of summer in this. How beautiful is that? It would make a great t-shirt. It would make a great tunic. It would make a great wrap dress. If you are wondering if the fabric you are picking out is going to work for the pattern, those of us here at the shop have a lot of experience, and we really want to help you be successful. And we're happy to show you a pattern and a fabric that will go together and do a good job of making something beautiful for you. This is a Stoff knit. Stoff knits are 95% cotton, and they have lycra in them. So they have a wonderful recovery, but they're also not as drapey as those two Italian knits we showed you. Those two had a lot of rayon and were very drapey. This one has much more body to it. So also notice how it doesn't tend to cling. So that's really nice. So that particular fabric, these wonderful patterns by Pamela Leggett are a great way to do those. And of course we carry all of this. She's got different necklines for this particular pattern. She's got wonderful pleated back one and this wonderful tunic. I think this is super cute. Then we've got this beautiful peplum style. It's got a waistline right here and a beautiful skirting kind of look. It has short sleeves or long sleeves with a bit of a bell. Any of these knits I just showed you would make up really lovely in these. She's got this perfect t-shirt pattern. And this has both darts or no darts. So you get to make a decision if you have the kind of figure shape that you want a dart in something because it's much more flattering. I'm personally a fan of darts. They're very nice. We've got this beautiful cardigan she just came out with not all that long ago. And here's another one that's like a little blazer that you could make. These can be made up out of either a heavier knit or a lighter one, depending on how much drape you want. We also have this beautiful Kaufman knit, and it is kind of in between a Stoff knit and the rayon knits. It's got a bit more drape, but it's not super lightweight, so it's going to be flattering for most figure types. And this beautiful black background with the flowers, couldn't you see this is a great sundress? I like this pattern a lot. I think I'm going to make myself a little tank out of it, or maybe a dress this year. So that will be really beautiful. Here's another one, also from Robert Kaufman. Beautiful background of white. I just see summer and spring out of this. Going back to our Stoffs, here is a lovely floral pattern with a beige background for those of you who look better without. Some of us look better with white background on us and others with beige. I think I look a little bit better with the beige. It's a little bit warmer. So I like that. So then we have some really fun, wonderful prints here. Again, this is a Stoff knit. We also carry 100% cotton knits from Andover. This has got a real, this one has a lot of body to it. It's not going to drape a lot. It's just got, you know, it's kind of a more stiff knit. So be aware of that when you're picking things out. Well, I think that unfortunately, even though I had a bunch more stuff I wanted to show you, today is going to have to be ending right here. All of these patterns, all of these fabrics I just showed you, they are all available at the universityofsewing.com. You can take your time and look through them. We carry cotton lawn. We carry all kinds of knits, from heavy Ponte knits to very lightweight rayon knits, so that you have lots of selection depending on what you're doing. We carry a bunch of Italian fabrics now. We've got both cottons and silks and rayons and blends of those things, so that you can get some really incredible prints and some wonderful different things, so that you can make yourself up maybe a scarf. You can make yourself one of those beautiful jackets that I showed you earlier. You could go ahead and make a skirt or a top. And if you're thinking about getting into knits, you're thinking about sergers, and you're thinking about all of those sort of things, keep an eye. We are going to be doing more classes. Classes are starting to open up a little bit now that people are getting their shots. It's been so fun to see some of you. People have come in and said they've had both of their shots now, and they've been very, very thrilled to be able to come into the store. We are here Monday through we're here Monday through Saturday. We close a little earlier on Saturday, but the rest of the week we're open here at least till 6, Tuesday until 7. We'd love to see you. We're also still doing curbside pickup. We're sending things to people all over the country. We've been getting orders from everywhere from Washington to Maine. So we love to help anybody all over the country. If you're sewing clothes, we want to help you with that. But if you're doing quilting, don't forget, kids' clothes are a great entry place to get into clothes, and it's really fun to make kids' clothes. They're so darn cute. We have kids' clothing patterns online, and we have them obviously in the store. We want to help you with all of your needs when it comes to sewing. universityofsewing.com, everybody. Come by and see us or see us online. Have a great day.